Hey guys, this is Dan with Pain for You, and today's topic is, what if your child appears to have TMS? And it's a really important question because as we go back and we look at our pain history, now that we know about TMS, we can oftentimes say, boy, as a little kid, I had this going on, I had stomach problems, I had whatever it may be, and when I was a teenager, I think I had this going on. And as we do that analysis and we really learn more and more about TMS and these stress illnesses, it becomes really easy for us to spot TMS in other people, and particularly our own kids. Now, I recently got a question from a lady who was asking, how do I get my kid to do this work? You know, he's 9 years old and experiencing some congestion and sinus issues, but only during the school year. It goes away in the summertime. And, you know, he's resistant to journaling. And, you know, at 9 years old, he's probably still too young to, number one, grasp the importance of it, buy into the concept that, you know, journaling about his feelings is going to help him out. So I don't have a lot of experience working directly with kids, being very upfront and candid here, very transparent. However, I have a couple of thoughts. And I guess first and foremost is, as the parents, how are you dealing with stress and emotions? And are you leading by example in a productive, positive way? If a child is being raised with parents who are constantly, for lack of a better word, freaking out emotionally, that example is going to create a lot of internal stress for them. So what are the lessons they are learning from their environment, right? Now, in that particular case, it was a kid who was having some health issues as a result of the school year, and they go away in the summertime. Well, there's two aspects to that. Number one, you know, if the kid is surrounded by germs and, you know, artificial light and Wi-Fi and all sorts of stuff at school, that can influence their immune system. Whereas at home, those environmental things may not be quite as powerful. If the kid spends a lot of time outside in the summertime, well, guess what? Natural sunlight is amazing for us and our health, as opposed to being inside in school and then coming home and being inside and being surrounded by artificial lights, you know, computer and phone screens and Wi-Fi and all that kind of stuff. So I will just suggest that while I do believe TMS and stress are at play for most of the stuff I talk about here, there are also some environmental things that do play a part in whether or not we get ill, and the presence of germs still exists. However, when we look at TMS or stress illness, I've talked about it before, but when you are under a lot of stress, what happens to the immune system? It gets suppressed. And that's really important to keep in mind as well. So despite the environmental challenges, if you are stressed, you are much more likely to have immune suppression and therefore will be more likely to get sick more often, right? And I know that's true for me. Anytime I tend to get a cold, there's a lot of stress or pressure. As a matter of fact, I just got back from vacation 2 days ago. By the time you see this video, it'll be last week that I got back. But I had a lot of internal pressure and stress to try to get a lot of stuff done for both my regular business as well as shooting like 8 videos in advance so I can have them uploaded to both YouTube and Facebook and scheduled so that they would post throughout the week while I was away. There was a lot of stress, and right before, like the day before I got on the plane to take off, I was getting all sinusy and congested and you know, runny nose, and I'm thinking, oh no, it's coming right before I go away. It's gonna ruin my vacation. And sure enough, what was crazy was the minute I got down there, I went to St. Martin, the minute I got down there and I relaxed and I settled into, you know, island time and slowed down, and the stress kind of melted away because I had taken care of those responsibilities, my immune system caught up and took care of it, and I didn't have a runny nose all week. It was barely there the first day and it was gone the second day. So, could that have been as a result of, you know, the stress? Absolutely. Could it have been getting out on the beach and grounding and natural sunlight and everything like that? Absolutely. So there's a lot of things at play. Now, getting back to the child, and what do we do about TMS? One is to lead by example, and this is not a criticism of the lady who asked the question. I don't know what your scenario is. I don't know how you interact with your children, how you interact with life. But if you have TMS yourself, it is possible that emotionally you're working on getting better yourself, and children are very perceptive and they can pick up those emotional vibes unbelievably well, right? So as you improve yourself and become a better version 2.0 of yourself, that will somehow translate to your children, because they're not going to see the parents reacting extremely emotionally all the time. And it's a team effort. So depending upon, you know, who in the family is the higher stress person, them kind of learning to feel their emotions, have those emotional open houses, those are great things that parents can do. But again, let's get back to the kids, because when we're seeing our children suffer, and we can see it's stress induced, it's tension, it's school is really intense for some of these kids, especially if they're subjected to any type of bullying or, you know, being made fun of or not feeling like they fit in, right? And so school can be incredibly stressful. Add on top of that having to come home and do your homework, and depending upon how you are as parents, how much pressure are you heaping on the kids to get your homework done right, and you better get this done right or you're never going to make anything of yourself, right? It's really important. And, you know, I think when I was a kid, school was something you did. These days, parents are getting so over anxious about, you've got to have perfect grades from the time you're in preschool all the way through, because the competition for college and degrees and everything else is so intense. And man, you know, my son's 25, but I know people with younger kids, excuse me, and they can't believe the amount of homework these kids have and the intensity that these teachers have towards teaching and preparing for college, right? I mean, these things are no joke these days. So the kids come home stressed from the school pressures, from the social pressures, and if their examples of how to deal with emotions and feel the emotions are parents that are stressed out and repressing and TMSing themselves, it's no wonder some of our kids can be struggling. So what do we do about that? Well, we've got to lead by example, and we've got to do the work for the kids, with the kids, right? You can't really just hand a kid a book and say, read this and start journaling and you'll feel better, right? Especially when it's like sinus and runny nose and they're kind of believing, oh, I got germs. There's lots of germs at school. But you want to engage with them when they come home from school. Hey, how was school? How are you feeling about school today? Tell me something funny that happened today. Tell me something stressful that happened. Everything going okay? You know, you're getting along with your classmates, and encourage them to share. Don't put it under the guise of, we've got to do this emotional work so you can get better, because they're going to go, what? Get away from me. I want to go play video games, or I want to go outside and play ball or something, right? But if you make it a matter of the normal conversation, and look, if the kid came home upset, say, come here, give him a hug. You're sad, huh? Yeah, somebody said something mean to you. Come here, I got you. It's okay to be sad. Yeah, it's really okay. You're allowed to be sad, right? give them that support that we wish we had when we were kids. If somebody comes home angry, don't scold them for being angry, and you're supposed to be nice to your classmates. Oh, come here. Tell me what happened. Why are you so angry? Wow, yeah, I would be angry too. I understand that. Boy, if Billy picked on me when I was your age, boy, I'd be really angry. So, just encourage them to feel the emotions and share them and to talk about them with you. Because by giving them that lesson, boy, that's going to pay off for the long term. They're not going to be 40 or 50 like me and struggling with, back pain in my 40s, right? Because I didn't have those lessons. I was kind of taught, be happy. Take the negative stuff and bury it, right? So the more you can do to encourage your children to embrace these emotions as normal, okay, remind them, hey, look, if you feel the emotions, if you're going to be angry, it's okay to be angry. Should we go downstairs and hit that punching bag? Okay, let's get that anger out, right? Do you want to learn how to play the drums? Right? I played the drums. I get a lot of anger out. Still do play the drums, and sometimes it really feels good to beat the crap out of that drum set. But when it comes to the kids, again, in many cases, they're too young to do the work. They don't understand it intellectually enough, and nor are they really interested in that. They're kids, they want to play, they want to have a good time, right? But they do require our emotional support. They do require us to lead by example. They do require us to engage with them. I forget where it is. Encourage the kids to start developing a gratitude practice. Maybe as you sit down to dinner, starts going around the table and saying, hey, everybody, we're going to do a new thing called gratitude. Tell me 3 things that you're happy about, that you're grateful for. And you might be surprised at what some of these kids come up with. Some of them might be, I'm grateful because I got a great mommy and daddy, right? Or I'm grateful because I got a really good friend. Or I'm grateful because, I made a really good catch in gym class and I felt good about myself, right? So that gratitude practice allows them to kind of counterbalance some of the negative and the stressful stuff that's going on. And it's things we remind ourselves to do. I talk about, getting to gratitude all the time. It changes our brain, literally. It changes our hormones, literally. It helps us sleep, literally. So encourage your kids to do that, right? Hey, when they get in the car, when you go to pick them up, Billy, tell me 3 things that happened today that you liked. You don't have to necessarily couch it as, we're going to do our gratitude practice now, but hey, tell me a funny story. What happened today that was funny? What happened today that made you happy? And what happened today that made you sad or angry, right? And allow them to share. And it'll become, over time, a normal part of the conversation. And frankly, a normal part of how they interact with the world. And by doing such, you may find that instead of coming home all stressed out and, okay, Billy, get to your homework. You've got to get that done before you have dinner. And if you don't do your homework, you're going to have dinner but no dessert. And are we adding to the stress? Or are we helping to bring it down? Right? And I'm not suggesting you give your kids carte blanche and have no rules or guidelines for how to get their schoolwork done or behave around the house and all that kind of stuff. But boy, as you look back towards your childhood, was everything you were taught productive? Did it help you out? Or is some of that why we're still trying to figure this stuff out decades later in our adult years as we're dealing with these physical symptoms? So look, if you notice your children are suffering with certain types of physical symptoms, or they're just getting sick every other day, or they've got tummy aches or headaches, and tends to correlate with the stress of school, or they do fine on the weekend, they're running around playing like crazy. I'm sorry about this. They're running around playing like crazy on the weekends, feeling great, but boy, Monday morning that tummy ache sure kicks in. You might be saying, oh, you're faking it just so you don't have to go to school. Well, maybe they're not. maybe it's actually TMS kicking in because they're stressed out because, you know, Bobby the bully is waiting for him to make fun of him again today and call him names. And maybe he's embarrassed about it and doesn't want to talk to you about it. So you've got to create a really welcome, compassionate environment for your kids so that they do share with you and let you know what's going on in their lives. Really, really important stuff. So can we make a 9-year-old sit down and journal? I don't think so. Is that required? No, it's not, right? When we look at TMS, I call it too much stress, right? And too much stress kind of creates that, you know, fight or flight response where it kind of kicks in saying, we're in danger, we're in danger. So the more you can do to create safety for your children, the better off they're going to do. And one way that you can do that is hug them, love them, accept their emotions for whatever they are. Don't tell them, you know, you're not supposed to be angry, you know, put that away. We're nice to our neighbors and our friends and our classmates. Don't be angry. What are you teaching them? You're teaching them to repress. And we all know how that goes, right? So I would encourage you to take the leadership role and through your interaction with your children, help them learn to feel their emotions, to feel safe with their emotions, to know that they are not being judged harshly by you by feeling these emotions. And look, if you've got a boy and he cries, boy, the last thing you want to do is say, don't be a big baby, toughen up, don't let him see it cry. You're teaching them how to repress sadness, and that sadness means you're weak and not good enough for mom or dad, right? Same thing with girls. Allow them to feel what they feel. You know, feel free to share with them the concept of the emotional open house. Look, emotions are just visitors. Allow them to come in, allow yourself to feel them, and then they'll leave, right? Teach them that these emotions are not dangerous or scary, that they're just a normal part of life. You know, and an analogy that you might be able to use with a kid is just to say emotions are kind of like breathing. You breathe them in, you breathe them out, right? And that emotions are okay. It's like water going down the stream, right? It's not permanent, it's temporary. It's okay to be angry, sad, jealous, guilty, ashamed, whatever it may be. Give them permission to feel these emotions and support them in feeling these emotions. Because inevitably, if you take your kid in your arms and say, I know you're sad. I know you're sad. That was really mean what your classmate said to you. Come here, give me a hug. How are you doing now? I'm still sad. Okay, so hug them. Hug them for longer. I know you got 16 things to do, but give your kid that time. Hug them. Then after they feel like they've been, you know, heard and they kind of stop sobbing or crying or sharing with you, say, what do you want to do now? Inevitably, they'll go, I'm okay. I'm going to go play. And then they go running off. And you've just given that kid the gift of feeling an emotion, allowing them to embrace it, feel it, know that they're safe in your arms and your support, and that emotion will leave. So, how can we do the work with our kids without saying, here's a book, read it, and now do this homework? Because that just adds more stress to them. But just through our interactions, I believe that we can really make a difference in teaching our kids that emotions are safe, they're supposed to be felt, they're temporary, they're just visitors that come in and then you let them go. And most of all, try to lead by example, right? Share some of your experiences. If the kids are like, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? You're asking me how I felt about today? Yeah, and then you can share with them. Well, you know, Daddy will go first. I had a meeting at work and my boss was pretty mean and he was looking at me like he was angry, and that really made me feel bad. I felt uncomfortable. I felt scared. I felt angry that I was being judged, and you know, so lead by example. And if the kids don't know what you're talking about, use your examples, right? And you may find that it really helps them out. Create safety both with the emotions as well as their world, and lead by example. So I hope this was helpful, and let me know your thoughts. If you have any ideas as to how we can help our children TMS less, please share them below. Comment below. Let me know what you're doing for your kids, what's worked. Because this video today was off the cuff, not direct experience with a child who's currently TMSing. I was fortunate my son didn't really have any significant TMS issues. So this was more a matter of just trying to apply what I know and teach to how would you encourage a kid to feel safe with their emotions and, you know, with their life in general. So let me know what you think. Was this helpful? And we'll talk to you guys and gals really soon. Love you.